helped produce and present the application to the FISA court to secure a warrant to spy on Americans associated with the Trump campaign?
Congressman, I'm not prepared to discuss anything about a FISA process in this setting.
All right, so no answer there. That was Republican Congressman Jim Jordan pressing FBI Director Christopher Wray during a House Judiciary Committee hearing yesterday. A lot of that you watched live here on Fox. The congressman focused on Peter Strzok, the top FBI official who took a senior spot on special counsel Robert Mueller's team. Mueller later kicked Strzok off the team for sending anti-Trump text messages. Congressman Jim Jordan wanted to know if Strzok also worked to obtain a warrant to surveil the Trump campaign during the 2016 election. Here now is Congressman Jim Jordan. So he didn't take your question on that at that point. Do you get another bite at the apple? How does this work?
Mr. Rosenstein will be there next week. We'll ask him some of the same type of questions. They can give us what they took to the FISA court. We're the Judiciary Committee. We're the committee with jurisdiction over the Justice Department. Let the Congress see if, in fact, you took this National Enquirer garbage report called a dossier, if you, in fact, used that as the basis to securing warrants to spy on Americans. Let us know if that happened or not. I think it did.
And if it did, what's the accountability? What happens there?
Well, Harris, understand what took place. This is a Democrat National Committee Clinton campaign, paid the law firm, who paid Fusion GPS, who paid the MI6 agent Christopher Steele, who paid Russians for this document, for this report. So it's opposition research paid for by the Democratic National Committee, and was the FBI working with that Democrat National Committee to take this document, dress it all up, take it to the FISA court so they could go after the other party's campaign and the other party's nominee. If that happened, that is as wrong as it gets. And everything points to it certainly looks like that's what took place.
So there was potentially a crime with the Russians, but what you're saying is it happened among the Democrats, and it happened within this sort of structure at the FBI, which is very debilitating for that agency.
No, you're exactly right, Harris. So we have Mr. Mueller, who's investigating supposed coordination between the Trump campaign and Russians to influence the election. But we know for a fact the Clinton campaign paid Russians to do what? Influence the 2016 presidential election. We know that happened. Now what we're trying to figure out is, did the FBI help them? Did the FBI help them? And it sure looks that, because here is Peter Strzok. He's the guy who ran the Clinton investigation, interviewed Abedin, interviewed Mills, interviewed Clinton. Or he's the guy who wrote the exoneration letter, changed the terms from gross negligence, a crime, to extreme carelessness. He's the guy who launched the Russian investigation. He's the guy who interviewed Mike Flynn. He gets picked by Mueller to be on his team, and we're supposed to believe he got kicked off because he sent some anti-Trump messages? As I said yesterday in the committee, if you get kicked off the Mueller team for being anti-Trump, there wouldn't be anybody left on the Mueller team.
Right.
So it has to be more.
I heard you say that. I was watching at the time. You know, I'm a fan of C-SPAN. So I tuned in at that moment, and I saw you say that, and it was quiet there at the hearing. And I'm just wondering where you take that, because if that's the case, Christopher Wray is the man that President Trump chose to be in charge of the FBI. He's the man that he tweeted about with regard to the FBI now being in tatters. What happens next?
Well, I think the FBI, the rank and file, the vast majority of the people who work there are great people. But there was this special group. Remember Andrew McCabe's email where he talks about this select group at the top who ran the Clinton investigation. McCabe, Strzok, Comey, that's where the concern is. And so when the president talks about tatters, he's talking about the FBI and tatters, he's talking about that select group at the top. He's not talking about the rank and file agents who are busting their tail, as Mr. Wray said yesterday, doing their job. He's talking about this select group at the top who looks like there was political concerns that factored into all this, and that they may have coordinated with one party to go after the other party. That is never supposed to happen in the United States of America.
You use the word special. Congressman Biggs stepped away from the hearing that you all were in yesterday so that he could tell me that he had a few questions that he and others wanted to ask. Congressman Getz and Gomart were on the list who wrote a letter, and the word special was at the heart of it. I'm curious, as we go forward, if we're going to get some definition about how the FBI used the word special.
Well, I think we will, but one of the things that needs to happen is we need to depose Peter Strzok. We need to talk to the news that broke yesterday. Bruce Orr meeting with Christopher Steele in the middle of the campaign, one of these key guys at the Justice Department, and then met with Glenn Simpson, who heads Fusion GPS after the election. We need to talk to Mr. Orr. We need to have Mr. McCabe come in front of the Judiciary Committee. And as I said, Mr. Rosenstein is going to be there next week, and he's going to get some of the same type of questions.
This is not going to wrap soon. Special or special treatment was the question. And I know you'll follow the trail on this and bring the facts. We appreciate your time and look forward to having you back as this goes forward next week. Thank you, Representative Jim Jordan.
Thank you, Harris.